Today, it's such a pleasure to be here again in Brighton. And slowly and steadily, I find Sahaj Yoga is settling down in this place. When I first came to Brighton just to visit, I felt there must be many seekers in this place who might have been lost, and always had a great hope that one day they will be able to come to reality. Today, especially, is a very great day because today is the birthday of Lord Buddha. And in the morning, I talked to Sahaj Yogis about his great incarnation and how he came on this earth and he got his realization, and then how he tried to spread the message of realizations to others. Many people believe and think that Christ was an atheist, Buddha was an atheist, while Christ was a person believer in God. And some people prefer Buddha to Jesus Christ. It's something very amazing is that when the people are born in a particular circumstances, they have to talk about things which are very, very important at that point of time. At the time when Buddha came on this earth, in India, we had too many ritualism of Brahmanism and conditioning of the teachings of those money makers and commercializers who wanted to make money in the name of God and in the name of religion. So to neutralize all that, he decided not to talk at all about God, about any particular religious ways, but he said that you keep to the middle path of life, eightfold middle path of life, and that you first get your self-realization. To him it was very important that one should get self-realization. And that's what he wanted to give as a message and divert the attention of the people from the idea of God or incarnation for the time being, because he wanted to show that self-realization is very important and that without self-realization you cannot understand God or divine power. So he was not an atheist. He and Christ, I would say, were in a way contemporary, but Christ came later. And Buddha came about 500 years before Christ. They are so much related to each other, so much close to each other, so much identified with each other, as if they are part and parcel of one being. That only you can understand when you get your self-realization. Christ has said, those who are not against me are with me. Who are those who are not against him? Because we have no knowledge as to the origin of Christ, from where he came, what was his origin, how he was created in the heaven, how he is the Son of God. Whatever we see today as a person who came on this earth to teach us about his Father, God Almighty, we just believe into that part which is a very limited part of Christ. And Bible cannot contain that great personality in it. In the same way, Buddha has been dumped into very small dimensions. Only 2 persons realized it. They got out of it. One of them was Viditama, who went away to Japan and started the Zen system of religion. But even today, if you see the Zen, which was nothing but dhyana, the meditation, sahaja, spontaneous awakening, is reduced to the same level as any other preacher. I met the head of the Zen system. He's very sick, and they brought him to me because he wanted to be cured. And I was amazed that not that he was a realized soul, not at all a realized soul, but his kundalini, which is the force which is going to give him realization, was all frozen. And he had no desire to become self-realized. I talked to him, I was amazed. And I said, how is it that according to Zen, you have to be a Kashyapa? Kashyapa means a person who is a realized soul. That's the name of the university, as I told you yesterday in Louis. The name of the university is Kashyapa. Those who have no university, in the sense those who have the university of God. So he said, oh, that's over now. God is not making anybody Kashyapas out. Only from the 6th to the 8th century, in 200 years, there were only 26 Kashyapas. After that, there were none. And I don't hope to be one. I said, why not? He said, no, I have no hopes about it. I'm just now appointed as the head of Zen, so I'm there. But we don't get Kashyapas these days at all. So with that, he doomed all the hopes of all the people to become Zen, to become a person who knows, person who is a realized soul. This one was very shocking to me, because Zen is something so great, so much expressive of such. You cannot understand Zen unless and until you are a realized soul. Even Bible you can't understand. You can't understand Gita. You can't understand anything unless and until you are a realized soul. The second person who really emerged out of it, all this ritualism and all that they had created out of Buddha's life, was Lao Tse, who preached about Tao. Tao is the all-pervading divine power, power of love. And he talked about it, he explained about it, and he started another group of people who were to be given realization. But that also today I find has become Taoism. Everything becomes ism, means imprisoned. It's not living. It's not there. It's just a thought of Tao. People read, I have seen people, there's one gentleman in India who has written a complete book on Tao. He's not even a realized soul. What is he writing? I was just wondering with his blind eyes, what is he describing? What colors can he describe? So you must know that you have to be self-realized first. Then see for yourself. Then you will know whether there is spirit or not. Then you will know whether there are roots to this tree that has grown outside. Then you will know whether there is God or not. Then you will know what these incarnations have any meaning or not. Just before that, just to sit down and criticize is not a sensible thing. That's why Buddha, who occupies a very special place within our being itself, he resides on this side. This is the place where our ego is attached. And he's the one who really controls our ego. So this Buddha also is such a part and parcel, is to be understood only after you have got realization. Without that, you are still incomplete. You are not that by which you will know. Like Krishna has said, Atmaneva Atmana. Through the Atma, through the Spirit, only you are going to know God. Not through with this mental projection, with these eyes, with these senses, but through the Spirit. And where is the Spirit within us? The Spirit lies in our heart and is the reflection of God Almighty. It's called as the Kshetragya, means the one who knows the field of our action. The one who sees what we are doing, who is the witness of what we are doing. But he is not in our attention. That gentleman wants to come. Yes, come. He is not in our attention. And if he is not in our attention, we do not know how to connect ourselves with him, to have a rapport with him, to understand him. That's why first this Spirit has to be brought in our own attention. That's the most important thing. And because this is not with us, we are still incomplete, we make mistakes. Because the absolute thing that is within us is the Spirit, while we live on a relative world. Today somebody comes and tells you, all right. Just now when we were coming, there was a gentleman who handed over a card to me about something about Christ. He's telling me about Christ. I really must laugh at it. But supposing tomorrow Christ comes and stands before you, will you be able to recognize him, or will you crucify him again? How will you recognize him? How will you recognize Buddha? Have you got sensitivity to know who is Christ? It's very easy to represent Christ. It's very easy because they think that after all, everybody has a right to do what they like. Even Hitler talked of God. Can you imagine? Hitler talked of God. Everyone thinks he has got right to talk of God, to describe him. But first of all, you must know that no use deceiving ourselves. We have to get our self-realization. We have to know ourselves first of all. Now, Buddha's attitude towards his attainment was that he was actually touched by the miseries of the world. He saw a person who was sick. He saw a man who was dead. He saw an old man. All these things worked on his mind, and he started thinking, why these miseries are there? So the whole search came through the understanding for others. That takes too much time, because you have to go on neutralizing. Not this, not wife, not children, not family. You go on negating. All your lives you go on, one after another. Doesn't work out. The other way is simpler, could be, which of course by Buddha's attainment only has been made even better. All of them have done something for us within ourselves. That first we look after ourselves. Find out about ourselves. Are we realized souls? Are we Buddhas? Are we the people who know? Let us be honest. Then we have to know. Now, what is the way to know is the point. Now, if I say that you will know in your evolutionary process, as you have evolved to be a human being, you will be evolved to be a realized soul. But there's a little difference as to what has happened so far and what is going to happen later. So far, we have been evolved through a method which was beyond our freedom. The nature worked it out. The nature within us, the central force of evolution within us, has brought us to this position that from amoeba, today we are human beings. But at this stage when we are human beings, to go further, there's a special mechanism. Like till to make this instrument, we had to use other instruments to make it. Now once the instrument is just ready, we have to just plug this one to the mains and it's done. As if you are made to be ready, to be plugged to the all-pervading power. And by some special, spontaneous method done by the living force within us, we have to be plugged to the mains. But the difference between a human being and other animals is this, that human beings were given their freedom. At the stage of, say, Adam and Eve, if people would not have gone too far with their freedom, it would have been much easier to give realization to people at that time. But when freedom is given, then people misuse it, or they want to use it. They don't want to obey, because to obey means they think there is no freedom. And that's how when they started using their freedom, they had to do things which were wrong, which were anti-life, which were anti-evolution, without realizing what they were doing. When it reached a stage when people found that was wrong, they gave it up. Then another thing they tried, it was like an error being corrected. Then they corrected it. That's how human beings have been trying, experimenting with this, experimenting with that. And then they come to a point where they say, given up now, it's too much. That's the best point, I think, as Buddha had reached. He was so tired, lying down under a banyan tree, and he got his realization. So now I'm here before you to tell you what is the mechanism. You should not, in any case, accept me fully. You should not. That would be wrong on my part and wrong on your part, because you are free not to accept or to accept. But you have to keep yourself open, because this is a new category of knowledge which I am telling you about. About the roots about which you do not. You know only about the tree, but I want to tell you about the roots. The best thing would be, first and foremost, to be able to enter into the roots. But you cannot. As the human mind is, it wants to know everything about everything first of all. But see here, if you have to enter into this room and there is no light, somebody tells you, all right, press that button and you get all the lights. And you do it. It's all built in there. It's just there. But if somebody starts telling, all right, I'll tell you, there is something called electricity. Now, that was discovered such and such era. Then there was this gentleman who discovered this part of electricity. Then we use the water power to generate the electricity, and that's how there was a committee was formed in the whole history about the Sussex electrical system. Then you'll say, now we are fed up, now will you stop it? It's like that. So if I have to tell you the whole history, it will be too much. Best thing would be to press the button, see the light, enjoy it, and then you can know about it if you want to know. If you want to. It is just like that. The knowledge of the roots is greater than the knowledge of the tree. But unless and until you know how to become that subtle, to enter into the roots, whatever I talk is Greek and Latin, or for you people I would say is like Sanskrit language. But still, I'll try to explain to you few things that lie within ourselves. But by listening to that, I want to tell you, you cannot get your realization. Whatever I may talk for hours together, you will not get your realization. It's a happening that has to take place within you. Unless and until this happening takes place, you cannot get your realization. And it's a happening which is to be experienced by you, not by me. It is to be felt by you. And by this happening, you have to feel your own powers, your own glory, and your own purpose. So far, we do not know the purpose of human life, why human beings were created from amoeba stage. But then you know what is the purpose of this life. I'm sure they must have told you something about Kundalini. Jason, did you tell them? Not much. Huh? What's he saying? All right. So now here, I would like to tell you something about it, which you should take as a hypothesis just now and try to understand. It's not very difficult to begin with. And later on, as soon as you get your realization, it's the easiest thing to do. We have within ourselves 7 centers placed in our medulla oblongata and in the brain. The first one lies below the triangular bone, which is called as sacrum, and is called as the Muladhara center, which means the support of the roots. It is the support of the roots. And this center embodies our innocence, our innocence. The second one, and of course it manifests outside in the gross, the pelvic plexus. Now the second one is the one that emerges from the third one, which is called as the Nabhi Chakra, the third one, and the one that emerges from that is the second one called as the Swadhisthana. Now the Swadhisthana chakra in the gross, because these are subtle centers in the medulla oblongata, but outside in the gross, it manifests what we call the aortic plexus. If there are doctors here, they'll understand what I'm talking about. Now if you go further, the Nabhi chakra manifests outside what we call as the solar plexus. Above that is the center that we call as the heart center, Anahata chakra, cardiac center, which manifests outside the cardiac plexus. And it has got again the left and right side. Then we have the center at the root of our neck, which is called as the Vishuddhi chakra, and which manifests outside the cervical plexus. Above that, here where you see the red mark on my head, This is just the window of that center. Between the pituitary and the pineal body, where the optic chiasma cross each other, in the center is a very important center called as Agyachak, which looks after our ego and our superego, which you can see there, passing through that, crossing over like that. And on the top of that is the last seventh center called as the Sahasrara, meaning 1000 petal center. And that's the center is just in the limbic area, and when you pierce through that, in the fontanelle area, you feel the cool breeze of the Kundalini or the Holy Ghost coming out of your head. This has to happen. You cannot give false certificates. You have to feel the cool breeze coming out of your head. You have to feel the cool breeze in your hands. That means you have to feel the all-pervading power of God, of love, which is called as Brahma Shakti in Sanskrit language. And in the Bible is called as the cool breeze of the Holy Ghost. For the first time you have to feel it in your hands, in your central nervous system. Because the seat of your spirit is here, but the spirit resides in the heart. Once the seat is touched by the awakened Kundalini, which is in the triangular bone, if you see, then you start feeling the cool breeze, and then in the hand you start feeling the cool breeze flowing from. Thus you manifest the power of your spirit. It's a happening that has to take place. It's a living happening. It's very easy to tell people, all right, now you start jumping. You say, anybody can jump? What's so great in jumping? Or if somebody says, all right, take out your clothes. What's so great? Or color your clothes in this way. Nothing so special. Anybody can do it. But can you take out cool breeze out of your head? Your own head. And when you get it, you can do it to others. Even from the others' heads, you can take it out. This is the way it has to happen. The time has come. This is a very special time when so many seekers are born, so many of them, in millions and millions of them, and so many are lost also. Because of various reasons, because of attack on them. From very childhood, a person who is a seeker is attacked. Ultimately, his ego can attack him. He may have his own mental projections built in. He may have horrible gurus taking out money from him. There will be people who will be maneuvering them. There will be people who will be creating projects and things just to engulf them. But to an Indian, it is easy if they are Indians. Of course, if they are uprooted people and all are westernized, then I can say. But to a normal Indian, they know it is the Kundalini awakening that gives you realization. I don't have to tell them that this is so. They know. They are not naive. But in the Bible also it is written that I will appear before you like tongues of flames. And actually when you see this Sahasrara, it looks like beautiful flames in 7 colors, most harmless, silently, like this flame, but very longish flames, and silently burning and opening out, very cooling flames. Even this flame can give you cool breeze. It has happened with many. And how it works out, that we have to see. It's fantastic. It's too much to believe. First of all, we have no faith in ourselves. We don't know how can we get realization so easily. People had to do this, people had to do that. But time has come. You have done everything in your previous lives. You have starved yourself. You have roamed about. You have done all the tapasyas, the penance, And today is the time for you to get realization. And that's what it is. But why doubt it? You don't have to pay for it. Nothing is selling here, you know that. Nothing is selling. Actually, you cannot sell God. You cannot sell God. Those who sell are committing sins. How can you sell love? Love is not a sellable quality. Then the love of God, how can you sell? But we are so attracted by commercializing and all that. Because everything is so commercialized and so traditional now that for people who say that you cannot pay for your realization, they just can't understand how can it be. Get out of this. Get out of it. And just know that commercializing is a sin. If you try to do that in the realm of divine, it's a sinful thing. Anybody who has done that is wrong. Christ had taken a big hunter and hit all those people who were selling near that church. That's what it is. Today we find in all the churches, all the temples, mosques and everywhere are nothing but commercializing. But that doesn't mean that those people who propounded those great ideals to balance yourself on your void, as we call it, they gave you the 10 commandments to balance yourself, that they were wrong, that they did it just as a mental projection. It's a fact. You have to balance yourself. All of them tried to balance you, gave you a method of moderation. For what is this moderation? Is for the ascent. If you do not have balance in life, you cannot move. Imagine a car going on 2 wheels on one side. Even if there's a bicycle, you have to balance it. You just can't ride a bicycle if you don't know how to balance it. So this balance was to be established, and that's why they propounded all these great ideals for all of you. And all this is for your ascent and not to be just settled down with that balance. You have to ascend, and that ascent is now very simple and easy because the time has come. As I told you yesterday, on the tree of life, there were very, very few flowers to begin with. But today, at the blossom time, there are so many seekers. A special category, the flowers as they call it. They are flowers, no doubt. When they called them flowers, it was true they were flowers. But they went into wrong direction. They were definitely flowers to become fruits. And they will. God willing, all of them will have to become the fruits. May God bless you. I always ask people to ask me questions. But that doesn't mean that you should go on taking time unnecessarily. And also, mentally, I can just satisfy you up to a point. Because the mind cannot cross the barriers. It has to be triggered into a space of thoughtless awareness. And what you understand through your mind is only the signboard which you can read. But you have to enter inside. And for that, the ascent has to take place. That's important. The other day in the university, there was only one person who asked many questions. And he was the one who didn't ascend. The rest of them all ascended. It's very sad. And we have to work on him. Of course, he is going to ascend because he wants to ascend. But the questions went on like that, and such a waste of time. Because you are earnest seekers and truthful seekers, please ask questions which will help everyone. We have to be kind to everyone. May God bless you. Have some water, Douglas, if possible. Thank you. If you have any questions, please ask. Yes?
Is it dangerous to split the mental thought with no thought at all?
Can you tell me what he's saying is? Just tell him. I see I will be able to.
So is it dangerous to split thought, having thoughts, stopping thoughts, and then having no thoughts?
Is it dangerous to split thoughts?
No. We are not splitting it. You are sadly mistaken. That's not the point. See, a thought rises as a reaction to something, all right? Rises and falls off, and then another thought rises and falls off. In between the thought, there's a little space, which in Sanskrit called as vilamba. Now the thought may come from the future, may come from the past. But when it comes, it goes to the past, all right? Now, what happens that we see the rising of the thought but not falling of the thought. And in between the thought, this vilamba is the present. Now, if I tell you be in the present, you can. But you just go on thinking like mad. On the cusp of the thought, you are moving, just like mad. But there's a realm beyond the thought, which is complete awareness and thoughtless awareness, where there is no thought. And thought is a great joy killer. I'll tell you how. For example, you are seeing these flowers now. I am also seeing them. Now I am seeing it thoughtlessly, you are seeing it with thought. So the thought arises from what shop she must have bought, how much it must have cost, because thought is not joy. But I am just looking at it without thinking. The complete creation of this, all the joy that is put into these, all the joy that has been created by putting it into this kind of a style, all that is silent is just entering into my being, giving me that peace and the joy for which it was created. Is a barrier. Actually, thought is always a barrier. But when you go beyond thought, it doesn't mean that you cannot think, but you become a master. If you want, you can think. If you don't want, you cannot think. But you are not driven by your thoughts. You see my point? It's like the thought is riding you, now you ride the thoughts.
Can you prevent thinking?
Can you?
Can you prevent thinking?
Yes. If you want, you can just sit silently, in your silence enjoying it. If you want, you can think. But after that, whatever you think has a special quality. Because that thought that comes to you after your realization is guided, enlightened by your spirit. Say a thought comes to you. For example, you are sitting here and you see something in the darkness and you think this is a serpent. For example, you might think, thinking anything is possible. There's no control. So you think it is a serpent going and you're frightened of it and you try to save yourself. But supposing there is light, then the same thought tells you, no, it's not, it's just a rope lying there. With enlightenment, the same thought has a special quality. Because you see it in all its dimensions and understand what does that mean, what it is like, what is the absolute value of particular thought is. And you just give up. Whatever is not right, you just give up. Whatever is right, you accept. Because you see it clearly. So far, there is no discrimination. Now, a thought comes to a person that, let me go and murder someone. This all comes from thought. Because I hate that person, I must murder that person, all right? It's all hatred working. Now, you go with that thought somewhere. and you murder that person. And then after the violence, the whole thing, the face changes and becomes so nervous and everything starts. First thought takes you down there, you kill the person, and the second thought comes you and makes you, oh God, what have I done? Both are wrong. But if you are a realized soul, first of all, you will not hate anyone. There are ways of neutralizing the hatred inside you. And neutralizing even the hatred of the person who hates you. Love's powers we have never known before. We only know the power of hatred. You see, the way we are producing MX and this and that is nothing. It's based on hatred and fear. If these people get realization, I don't know if they'll ever get it. They won't produce all these horrible things which is making everyone shudder. We have never used the power of love so far. But that you cannot do it unless and until you have felt it after realization.
Will you please tell us something of the technique?
Yes, I will tell you. Technique. As I said, that it's a spontaneous thing. It's done as a living process, all right? Now, say, if I say that, what is the technique of sprouting a seed? That's a living process. No technique, you just put it in the Mother Earth, it sprouts, it's all built in. It's a divine technique by which it works out first. But then you become the master of the technique yourself. Then you can do it. Because you enter into a new realm where you have the divine power by which you can do it yourself, you can maneuver it. But how you get your realization is through the spontaneous process. And a very simple process is like this: a candle which is enlightened can enlighten another light. If the candle is there and if the candle is in order. But this candle, if it's a realized soul, that it can also correct through its techniques, which you have to learn. Through its technique, it can also correct the other candle which is not yet enlightened, and then can enlighten. It can do everything. But the technique of that is to be understood very easily, because you become a collectively conscious personality. You become, again I say you become another personality. Like an egg becomes a bird. That's how you become. Then the bird has to just learn how to fly. But what is the technique for the egg to become the bird? Is just to be put in the warmth of the mother hen. No technique, it's all built in. That's the divine technique. But then you learn the divine technique yourself how to do it. All right? So then once you are realized by a very simple method, which is our job first of all, the job of the realized souls, like the enlightened light. Once that is done for you, then you have to do for others. Then you have to learn the technique. But unless and until you are enlightened, you cannot do any technique, because there's no power flowing. To start this, you have to put it to the mains, isn't it? Otherwise, no use knowing the technique. If you don't know how to start the car, no use knowing how to drive. So let us first start it, and then you will learn the driving. Is it all right then?
Having started, how long does it take to become realized?
No, you are realized at the start only, to begin with. It takes hardly any time. You get realization first, in the sense that you become collectively conscious, you become empowered. But then it takes hardly any time. For some people, only 6-7 days, they can become experts. That's all. That's sufficient. Some people take some time, but depending on what obstructions you have in your centers. If your centers are obstructed, then it takes little more time. But if they are not, it doesn't take much time. You become automatically endowed with that technique. Now here we have at least 50% who are Sahajogis. We call them Sahajogis once they become expert. Before that, not. At least 50% people sitting here are that. They're just like you. But there's a difference. If you see their faces are glowing, you won't find any pimples or anything on their faces. Very soft skin, young looking, fresh, eyes are sparkling. They are over here. And that's how you become. You become the masters of yourself. Because you become the spirit. And spirit is the master because it guides you. Alright? We'll work it out. That's a very good question. Why? Because you want it. That's a good question. That really helps everyone. Should we have it now? All right. You have been requested to take out your shoes for a purpose. There's nothing to insult you and in any way to trouble you, but to help you out. Because the Mother Earth, you see, helps you. We have to take the help from the Mother Earth. So we put our feet on the Mother Earth. We must know this Mother Earth helps us the most. So we have to put our feet on the Mother Earth without much pressure, little apart, not very close to each other. All right? If possible, try to put the whole foot on the Mother Earth and sit comfortably. Now, if there's anything tight, you can little bit loosen it. If it is too tight, you should never be uncomfortable because your attention goes, if there's any uncomfortable feeling, it goes there. Also better to take out your spectacles and things because it also helps your eyesight. It helps so many things. So better to take out your spectacles, keep it safe somewhere so your attention is not sort of distracted by. It's a very, very simple method which we have to use. First of all, as I told you here, you can see also, yesterday I told you that these centers are represented in our fingertips. Muhammad Sahib has said, at the time of resurrection, your hands will speak. Very clearly said it. And now this what happens that your fingers, they have got sympathetic endings here. That much, of course, the medical science also agrees. But these actually are your centers here, represented. So 5, 6 and 7. Here also 5, 6 and 7. On the two sympathetic nervous system, left and right, as you see here, the gross is the left sympathetic nervous system, but the subtle one is called as the Ida Nadi, which is the one which caters to our desires. The another one on the right hand side is the one called as the Pingala Nadi, which manifests the gross channel, which represents the right sympathetic nervous system, which is responsible for the creativity, is the action. So one is for the desire, first we desire and then we act. So this is for the desire, for emotions, and the right one is for the action. So we use these hands gradually according to the obstructions we have on our different centers. But first of all, we have to put the hands just like this. Little bit open, very comfortably put on your lap, and you have to close your eyes. That's very important. You have to close your eyes. Just the opposite of mesmerism. Please close your eyes. Whatever has to happen will happen inside, not outside. If I say pay attention to yourself inside, it's impossible. But it will happen when some happening takes place and your attention will be attracted inside, and that happening is the awakening of the Kundalini. Please don't open your eyes. If our eyes are open, the Kundalini doesn't rise beyond a certain point. Sometimes she doesn't want to rise at all. So just keep your eyes shut and put your hands, fingers open, little, not upward but downward a little bit. Now, there's a little bit you have to pay attention to. Don't have to open your eyes. Remember that the left side is the desire. And the desire is the pure desire to become one with the divine. This is the purest desire, and that is represented by the Kundalini, by this force which is placed in the sacrum bone or the sacred bone, in the triangular bone as they call it. Now the desire has to be kept fixed. That means the left hand should be kept as it is. Now with the right hand we have to work out the action of clearing our centers. First of all, please put your right hand on your heart, on the left hand side, because in the heart resides your spirit. It's better to put it under the coat. And just say, or we should say, ask a question. Mother, am I the spirit? Ask a question. To me, thrice. In your heart, ask a question, am I the spirit? Thrice. This is an absolute question. You are. But at this stage you just ask a question. You are the spirit, no doubt. But ask the question, Mother, am I the spirit? Put both the legs properly on the ground, separated from each other a little bit. Now, take down this hand to the left side of your stomach. Don't open your eyes. Left side, and press it a little bit with your fingers. Here is the center of your guide, your master. Because the spirit is the guide and the master, and as you have asked me the question, whether you are the spirit, you better ask another question here, saying that, Mother, am I my own master? Am I my own guru? Am I my own guide? Sincerely ask this question, please. Lower down on the stomach, on the left hand side. Lower down, yes. And put the left hand towards me. Left hand should be towards me, which is a fixed point, which is the desire that you want to become. This question is to be asked 10 times because of 10 commandments. Or there are 10 petals to this scent. Now again, raise your right hand to your heart position. Again, with your left hand at the same point. Press it a little bit, and again, with full confidence, please say, for my sake, for your sake, that, Mother, I am the spirit. Just assert. You have to say it 12 times. Mother, I am the Spirit. As the Spirit is detached, is blemishless. It cannot commit any mistakes. It cannot have any guilt. So raise the same hand, right hand, left hand keeping the same way, to the left side base of the neck. To the left side base of the neck is very important, especially for Western people, because they always feel guilty for nothing at all. You are not to feel guilty. So, as you are the Spirit, you have to say, Mother, I am not guilty. You have to say this 16 times, please. Mother, I am not guilty. You are the Spirit. And how can Spirit be guilty? Don't feel any guilt about anything, whatever you have done. The past is past. At this moment, please say, Mother, I am not guilty because I am the Spirit. And what is your guilt after all, compared to the forgiveness of God's love? Because He is the ocean of forgiveness, the ocean of compassion, is the ocean of love. Now raise the same hand. Put the left hand towards me. That is important. You must keep the left hand towards me on the lap, fixed. Say it 16 times, please. Mother, I am not guilty. Please say it with full confidence. It's very important, I tell you. Most of you catch on that scent. Now raise your right hand above onto your forehead across. Just put it there. At this point, you have to forgive everyone. Just forgive everyone. Everyone you have to forgive. Put it across. Some people say it's difficult. It's a myth that we do not forgive. Because what do we do when we don't forgive? So just say, Mother, I forgive everyone. Sincerely, please say that, Mother, I really forgive everyone. You have to just say it twice, but it is to be said from your heart. Then it will work out. Now put this hand, after saying that, on top of your head, at the place where it was soft bone in your childhood. Press it with your palm and just try to turn your head in a clockwise manner, pressing it. Just press it and turn it a little bit in the clockwise manner. Press it with your palm. Press it with your palm at the point where it was soft when you were a child. At this point, I have to say I am helpless. If you do not want to have your realization, I cannot force it through. Because as I told you, you have been given your freedom, which is respected. So here you have to say, Mother, I want my realization. Please give me realization. Unless and until you say that, definitely I cannot cross the barrier of your freedom. So please say it clearly in your heart 7 times. Mother, please give me my self-realization. 7 times, please. Say it from your heart. Say it from your heart, very sincerely, that's important. Earnestly, you have to say. Now raise your hand and see if there's a cool breeze coming out or if there's a hot thing coming out. Maybe some people will get heat first. You can change over the hand and see from the other hand and put the right hand towards me. You can see if there's a cool breeze coming or a hot breeze coming in. Alright? Why don't you see? It's there, it's there, it's there. Put your hand like this, right hand, like this. Yes, also. And now you see, it's there. Alright, gradually. Now you turn. Again see another hand. Try with another hand. You see? Again change over and see for yourself. This will help you to get a balance. If you are feeling in your head, then see if you are feeling in your hands as well. Put your hands towards me. See now if you are feeling in your hands. She's got it. You got it. Yes. If you put up your hands like this, open your eyes. Just like this. You start feeling it in your hand. A little cool breeze or a movement downward. Start first feeling it. Are you? Good. Good. Some of you have a center caught up there. All right? Feeling it? Now bring it down and see for yourself if you are feeling it in your hands. Very relaxed. Are you? Good. What about you, sir? Not yet. We'll work on it. Just see. Now there are Sahajogis here who are sitting who can help you also, those who have not felt it. It will work out. It is going to work out. It has worked in this lady. His face is changed because so much younger. You too. What about you now? This gentleman, are you feeling now? He's got just a Hamsa chakra, this one. The one who came to Louise? Not yet? It's all right. It will work out. Now, don't lose patience. You must have patience with yourself. Please close your eyes. Just close your eyes. It's going to work. There. Now just watch me without thinking. Let's see, can you do it? All right? What about these people? It's better.